the communicable attributes are not added to the incommunicable attributes, but simply communicable attributes denote the immutable and self-contained God in his sovereignly willed relation to creation. And so um, it's in light of that that we want to affirm the omnipotence of God when he relates to creation. And Voss points out here, especially when you're starting to talk about the theology of Amos and Isaiah, um, that God's omnipotence means that his power over creation, now the sovereign God related to creation, his power over creation is absolute and unqualified. It is unlimited, given God's self contained, independent, and limitless existence as spirit. See, that feeds right back into the previous section. What is God? He is a spirit, infinite, eternal, and unchangeable in his being, wisdom, power, holiness, justice, goodness, and truth. Now, how does God express himself fundamentally in relation to creation? He is omnipotent, all powerful. Uh, and this is true, especially now when you think concretely about the prophets. Let's enter into the history of special revelation. Let's remember that biblical theology isn't drawing the circle, it's drawing the line. What is so useful about the omnipotence of God, given this stage of prophetic revelation, is that the omnipotence of God reminds us of the certainty and inescapability of God's judgment and the vindication of his righteousness and holiness in the face of sin. If you want to ask the question practically, okay, what's the big deal? Why is it so important for me to believe that God is a spirit, infinite, eternal, and unchangeable, is being, wisdom, power, holiness, justice, goodness, and truth? Why is it so critical that I understand that he remains self-contained and immutable and impassible in his relation to creation? Why do I have to affirm that God doesn't change, doesn't lose himself, doesn't become other than who he is when he relates to the creature? Well, part and parcel of that is this gives you reminding yourself of God's absoluteness in relation to the creation, God's omnipotence as revealed. It reminds you of this, and this is so comforting, that all of the sin, all of the unrighteousness, all of the injustice, all of the treachery, all of the wickedness, all of the deception, every single sinful act is going to be confronted and set right by the sovereign, omnipotent, triune God, who is, as we'll see soon, Jehovah of hosts. And so Amos and Isaiah, Voss says, not only remind us that God sends the rain and God gives prosperity and God raises up and God blesses and God is sovereign over all of his creation and gives every good and perfect gift to creatures. But Camden, um, especially in Amos, Voss says, there is an on the practical value of the omnipotence of God with regard to the certainty and swiftness of the judgment that is going to be coming upon Israel and the nations. And so when you think of it, then you have a sovereign, living, immutable, triune God who is judge.